My name is Carlos Campos, and we, Chantel and I, work together and help Amish singles to find godly spouses, create epic marriages, and develop legacies that are rooted in faith, freedom, and above all else, love. It's a beautiful morning here this morning back in Georgia, and so glad to be back. But it's been busy. Got back yesterday evening from Montana. We were in Montana for another wedding. We're officiating a wedding for a couple. Yes, one of the sides of the couple. Both have been a part of our single and married group that Jesse and Adina are a part of Jesse and Adina's Kaufman's single and married group on school platform SKOOL, and it's cool to see them develop and come together and become a couple. Yes, Laura, who was, like I said, half of that scenario, that situation, she was actually used to be, well, she still is Amish, fluently speaks Amish as a language and as a culture. And her children even are fluent. They fluently speak Amish. So, fun fact, right? But it is good to be back. Good to be back in Georgia. They always say it's nice to be home and in your own bed, right? Enjoying the comforts of home sweet home here in Social Circle, Georgia. We have an event this week, Epic Intensive. It's going to be amazing. Starts on Thursday, and that's always a blessing. Thursday to Sunday, lives will be changed. Lives will be transformed. We've got a group of people coming in, small group, and that's the thing is we're keeping them very, very small these days. No more than 10 at a time. So I think this group is 8. So it's a good, small little group. And so, what about you? How are you doing? It's going to be a great week. Preparing for that, it's always good as we prepare to connect and love on people and work on them connecting with the Father, connecting with God, Papa God, as a father. He is a good, good father. And that is the journey. That is the challenge. I was quite grateful at this wedding as some of the people were talking about Andrew and getting to know him, Andrew, and the fact that they have known him for many years. One of the comments that they made about Andrew was him becoming closer to God, not just as God, but as a father. And that was that really blessed my heart because, again, hearing that is always amazing because that's my heart and my goal is to connect people to the Father and connect him to Abba, not God, who is, who creates fear through religion or creates distance, but is all about connection. Doesn't create fear, doesn't create doubt through shame and guilt, but it's a father of connection, a father that wants to yoke with us, and what that looks like as a father wants to yoke up. It is pretty amazing because what that does is it creates connection and affection when you get into sync and into the flow together. It makes all the difference. So that's again part of our process of connection and love and affection comes from knowing him as Father, not as a scary God. And that does matter. So Well, good morning if it's morning for you or evening, wherever you are calling in from. I'd love to hear from you. Just say hello and tell me where it is that you're joining us from here on YouTube or Facebook. It's always a cool thing to know where people are joining us from. So, where are you from? Where are you from? What's up? And welcome and thanks for being here. Get everything set up here. Okay. Well, some of the things we've been talking about is loving our wives, but also loving our girlfriends and our fiance. What does love look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What does that mean to you? It means different things to different people. And um, I know that a lot of times men get challenged with and face situations where they're dealing with work and dealing with um, things in life. And that's the power of what Father has given us as men is the ability to do hard things, the ability to push through our emotions and master our emotions. And to master your emotions is to have self control, self discipline, is to be able to breathe effectively and not allow emotions to control us, but actually create a scenario where we can have discipline in spite of the circumstance. We can be strong. We can push through. We can create a space that is safe and protect our spouse and protect our loved ones. It is a highly beneficial thing to do so. And it allows them the freedom to grow, the freedom to develop into God's gift to them, to our, to, sorry, grow and develop God's gifts in them. And also, it allows us to nurture them and learn how to nurture, learn how to um, become more intimate and affectionate and loving. That's part of the journey. So, good morning. And that's a pretty common thing. I'm looking at the comments now. How are you Amish if you're streaming? Yep. Amish Matchmakers does not mean we're Amish. If you caught the description or caught who we help Amish. And Amish being by culture and language, not by buggy or by not plugging into technology. That is one part of the Amish. That is what they are known for. I will admit that they are known for their buggies and horse and buggy and not having vehicles, not having electricity, not having technology. That is true. That is a part of the Amish culture, but also that is the more conservative part. It's kind of like saying that all Christians wear, suit and tie, or all female Christians wear dresses. It's similar. And that's not true. Just because you are a Christian doesn't mean that you have to wear dresses all the time or don't use, certain things, certain technology or whatever. That's again the same with the Amish culture and the Amish people. So, all right, we're going to continue on in our series. We've been talking about love. What does love look like? And what is it? Oh man, sorry. Let me get my notes ready. All right, good. Love, all about love and what it is. And that is a good question. Since you're here and some of you're interacting with me, what does love look like to you? We at this wedding we talked about the yoke, because do believe that is what marriage is about: yoking up and connecting. And the power of the yoke, it actually empowers you to make you stronger, help you to have better results in life. And in every area that you're willing to yoke together, God's promise is that you will get 3 times the results. On our own, we can pull and we can really be strong, and we can get double our weight in results. Again, this is the practical side of it with the ox and the oxen and the bovine being very strong and very. They are actually the reason why we settled the West is because of the bovine being so strong and being able to um, handle all different kinds of terrains and being so consistent and efficient. Was one of the most efficient animals on the planet and one of the most utilized animals on the planet, whether it's as a pet or as leather and the skull to the oxtail and to the feet to the horns to the tongue. Every aspect of the bovine is utilized. So it's a very fascinating animal. But again, recognizing that and seeing that uh, the connection of having one ox pulling, working by itself can get double the results. And this is real life stuff. And do the research, do the studies. So again, if a bovine or an ox, a cow, a bull weighs 1,000 pounds, it can pull up to 1,000 pounds, pull double its weight, and that is pretty significant. Um, and yet, when there's yoking that takes place, synchronicity, being equally yoked and getting into synchronicity and getting into flow together, 3 times the result. So you've got two bovine, maybe a bull and a heifer, or a cow and a steer, even. And you yoke them together and you equally yoke them. They work together, they train together, and they get into sync together. They can, if they both weigh 1,000 pounds, that's 2,000 pounds total. They can pull 3 times their weight now, 6,000 pounds. And that's the practical side of yoking and what God's promise is to you if you figure this out. And it is possible for you to yoke up with an amazing relationship, learn how to connect, how to form, how to communicate, how to be confident enough to go up to her and communicate, and then ask questions, connect, develop a loving, intimate relationship, become better friends, get to know each other more, and develop that into being engaged, then develop that into marriage, and then in marriage, just developing your relationship in legacy. And God's promise is true. I've seen it over and over and over again. That if you're willing to yoke with her in that area of life, you are promised better results. And by the way, that is across the board with anybody. When you yoke up with someone, you are partnering with them and connecting with them in such a way, a strong, faithful way, that you will get results that are different than any other thing that you could do by yourself. It's always better to work as a team. Always better. What is that? There's a verse in the Bible that talks about that one will send 1,000 to flight and two 10,000 to flight. I think it's how it goes. And again, the math is always expounding and always growing when it comes to the kingdom of God. When it comes to the Father connecting with you as well. He wants to yoke with you. He wants to show you how much he loves you and yoke with you and bring greater results in your life by connecting with you as a father, as a very loving, honoring father. Oh, you got coffee? Drink them if you got them. Cheers. What's in your cup this morning? Mine is good old Morgano Gold. It has reishi mushroom in it, some salt, and some creatine. Continue to be strong and healthy. Okay, what does it mean to love? What does it mean to communicate well without harshness? Let's talk about good communication in a relationship. What does that look like? How are you communicating if you're in a great relationship and there's progress and you're developing more connection? Are you first connecting with the Father? Are you first developing yourself to be loved and be loving, to be able to be in sync and connect? Are you teachable and coachable? Are you willing to learn and grow? Or are you harsh and it's only your way or the highway? Like I've been accused of that. And guess what? There's a lot of truth to that. Now, the hard part in these situations, right? Situations is that you are very compassionate. You're very passionate about life and helping others to succeed. And so am I. We want to see people do well. And so, in the process of working hard, developing who we are, and wanting to give that to others, we sometimes trample over others. We got to pause, we got to breathe. We've got to give one bite at a time, one little bite at a time, and regroup and give another little bite. You follow me? It's very important to give and then believe and get into sync that the Father wants to do something greater in your life. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to receive from the Father? If you want epic relationships, you've got to have epic communication. So, communication is the bridge between two hearts. All right, I'm going to say that again. Communication, proper communication, is the bridge between two hearts. Um, without skillful communication, connection will fade for sure. Connection will fade. Good communication is not necessarily talking more, winning an argument, or even proving a point. All right. Good communication is clarity, emotional steadiness, listening to understand, not listening to argue. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Listening to understand, responding instead of reacting, speaking with truth and gentleness, and repairing quickly. So let's talk about some pillars and some things that will help you to have effective and amazing communication, which leads to better connection, which leads to better affection and love. Sorry. Calm before words. Tone carries more than content. It really does. What is your tone like when you communicate with people? Men that are disciplined and have amazing skills in communication will actually lower their voice, slow the pace, and breathe before speaking. Now, I will admit there's been times where I've not done that. I just react. Ah! A calm presence builds safety, builds trust. It does. How do you respond to situations? Not easy situations, not, you know, but situations where there is a lot of emotion, a lot of hurt, or where there's triggers, right? What are your triggers? Do you know what they are? And being able to work through those triggers, they are opportunities for growth. So let's see, I might have an appointment this morning. Let me double check my check in with. It's been a couple of weeks since I've connected in the morning with this client. So let's see. All right, I'm back. So checking in with them, and but continuing on now with communication and the effective communication, what it looks like. It's the tone of voice that really matters. And what is it that will bring confidence, but yet build trust through a calm presence? That will build safety. Epic communication is direct but kind. Okay, direct but kind. Really important. Tone of voice is always a key factor. The words you choose is always a key factor. Instead of, I just wish you would, you can say, I would really appreciate it if. Because again, clarity builds trust, and you want to bring clarity. And when you say, I just wish you would do this, and you would do that, and you would do this, that tends to then accuse instead of asking questions and saying, I would really appreciate it when you do this. It makes me feel loved, it makes me feel honored when you do this and this. I would appreciate it if you would do this. This is how it makes me feel when you do this. So clarity over hints. Good, direct, clear communication builds trust. So we've got tone of voice, breathe, and then give good, clear communication and appreciation versus accusation. Okay, so I'm grateful for these things about you versus accusing them for what they did wrong, supposedly. And then curiosity, again, going back to questions and asking questions over assuming and accusations. It's always interesting. Like, I've had lots of conversations with people who are very critical of me, even. Imagine that. And believe me, I've had to work on it over the years, and I'm still working on it. The tone of voice, the harshness, because for me, the passion is there as well. I'm very passionate about things and situations and people and growth and development and transformation and continued growth. So for me, I'm very passionate about that. And so, but there are times where I do feel like, I assume certain situations, I accuse instead of asking questions and gaining more understanding. Asking questions like, hey, help me understand this situation. Or what are you feeling right now? Or what did you mean by this and this? Because a lot of times when we are connecting with people and learning to communicate effectively, there are lots of times where when we communicate that we don't really know what they meant. And so by asking questions to bring clarity and saying, what did you mean by this, this, and this? Or what did you mean by when you said this? That is effective communication, to ask a question and not accuse in a situation. And there are all often phrases that when you hear yourself giving absolutes, you can know that you're probably in an emotional state. Things like, you always do this, or always, you never tell me you love me. You always accuse me of this, this, and this. And do you see the difference versus I felt like in this situation, or you typically don't communicate well, or a lot of times I feel like you don't want to connect with me, or I feel like the love could be stronger. I feel like our communication could be better. Do you see it's talking about my emotions or how I feel is better than and taking ownership about what I have done or what is happening in me versus accusing what you're doing, accusing you for what you're doing. Do you see the difference? It's quite a bit different. All right. And that's ownership over blame. Okay. So 5 things real quick that will bring greater communication is clarity over hints. We said that one. Calm before you speak. So the harshness is not there. Nice tone of voice. So tone of voice, be clear in your communication, not hinting around or beating around the bush, but yet doing it with kindness, curiosity over assuming an assumption. Then number 4, ownership versus blame. Again, when we ask questions, we want to gain understanding, right? When you're truly want to understand their perspective, you want to empathize with them and be able to put yourself in their shoes and understand what they're experiencing. This matters whether you're married, this matters whether you're engaged, this matters whether you're just learning to date. These are all situations that you will deal with. Why? Because there are people that you're going to be dealing with. The final thing, number 5, is repair quickly. Couples that are working on their relationship skills and are becoming epic, they don't avoid conflict. Conflict's part of the process. They repair quickly. They bounce back quickly. I don't want tension between us. I would like to get back into synchronicity with you. I would like for us to have restoration and be reunited. You know, again, in life and in situations, the world we live in right now, you've got the Republicans versus the Democrats. Oh my goodness. And the left versus the right. Then we've got this, now war going on against Iran and everybody's opinion on both sides of it. Where's the unity? Where's the love? It's important that you flex that muscle of repairing, flex that muscle of connection and affection. Communication shows that you're mature. It really does. If you can't even make eye contact, if you can't have good conversation with people, chances are you probably don't have very many loving, affectionate relationships where there's deep connection. So, in relationship and when you're communicating, look for a good, steady tone. Be honoring and kind even in when you have disagreement. Be willing to apologize and ask for forgiveness, to recognize and own the things that you create with your harshness or your tension, like I have. Consistency between words and actions. May your actions speak so loud they can't even hear your words. I pray and I hope that's what I do in my life and continuously learning and growing, continuously improving in the person I am, the relationships I'm in. A lot of people, see certain things in me, and I do my best to work on it, do my best to become better and willing to learn, willing to grow. Is there anything that needs to change in me? What needs to improve? How have I improved? What needs to improve in me? How can I serve you better? And am I a safe place? Those are some power questions that will bring clarity that will bring life and will bring love to a whole nother level. Healthy communication lowers your stress, increases uh, oxytocin, which is a trust hormone. When you have tension and frustration, those has a tendency to go down. So if you want to increase oxytocin, bring better connection, bring better love and affection. Long-term relationships are more satisfied when we have better tones and connection and affection, words of honor and affirmation. Reduces the escalation of conflict. Calm voice calms your nervous system. Breathing gives you more oxygen and clarity. I love you. Bless you. I'm going to jump off now um, because I'd like to connect with one of my clients that I've worked with for many years. Man of integrity and honor, a good man of faith. And this week, I want you to work on becoming more confident in your relationships by speaking clearly and in communication. And then in your communication, listen deeply. What are they really trying to say? What's going on here? Write it down, even. And then repair quickly. If you're committed to a relationship, if you're committed to having success in your relationship, you will want to repair quickly and come back into synchronicity through the process. Yes, we do matching for non-Amish, just answering some questions. And are you Amish or Mennonite? No, we are not. We are English only. We help the Amish, we help the Mennonite, help that culture to get married and have godly spouses, create epic marriages, and develop legacy that is rooted in faith, freedom, and above all else, love. Can I ask you a favor? Since you're here hanging out and maybe you're new to this channel, would you like and subscribe to our channel? It really helps to get more exposure out there so our message can get out there. And we're going to keep bringing great information that will help you to have deeper, more meaningful relationship. This is the men's edition for the Amish Matchmakers. And my wife and I, Chantel and I, will be on a little bit later to talk to you more about relationships and the power and importance of communication and how that can affect your loving, more intimate relationships. Have a good night. Thanks again for liking and subscribing to our channel. And thanks for contributing to getting the message out there of love and affection and connection. First to the Father, next to your best identity in the Father, and then being able to love and connect with others because of that example and that connection with the Father. So God bless you. And